The September 17th, 2018 meeting of the Ways and Means Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Ansello? Here. Mr. Baroth? Here. Mrs. Conley? Chairman Delahanty?
Here.
Mrs. Draw? Here. Mr. Felder? Here. Mr. Hebert? Here. Ms. Cayley? Here. Mr. Marinetti is excused. Mr. Morelli? Here. Mr. Rocco? Here. President Carbone?
Okay. Are there any speakers signed up for the public forum?
There is not.
All right. Is there anyone here who would like to address the committee at this time? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the minutes from the August 28, 2018 meeting before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. The next item on the agenda is new business. Madam Clerk.
Referral 18-0251.
I'm sorry? Oh. Point of order. Yes. Will Legislator Felder please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I was so excited. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Legislator. Give me a speeding ticket there. All right, let's go back to new business. Madam Clerk.
Referral 18-0251.
Moved by Legislator Hebert, seconded by Legislator Draw. Is there any discussion? Okay, Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration. Listening to the last committee report, I had a lot of questions answered already on this one. But one thing that I was looking for, is it possible, and this does not have to happen before full ledge, can we have the crash data that's been collected that's used to determine the locations that the program is set up in?
Through the chair, I have them now. What specific crash data do you want?
Well, through the chair, I would assume that there are more areas than others that might show a larger amount of crashes happening. That would, to me, mean you'd be planning perhaps some of the surveillance at that point. I guess I'm looking for the reasoning as to how you're picking the spots you might be at.
Through the chair, we don't just pick the area. We have to pick also the specific problems that we have. And for Monroe County, we are generally higher in driver inattention and distraction, where the state's average is like 18. Or no, the state's average is 17. We're around almost 19. Along with failure to yield right of way. Now, this is based on crashes. So our crashes the New York, the average for New York for failure to yield right of way is 13.5. Our average is 18. Following too closely, the New York State average is 15.9%. Ours is 19. Unsafe speed, the New York average is 8.94, and we're about 8.6, or a little bit below that. I'm
sorry if I could interrupt you through the chair. Mm-hmm. That is good information. I think I might be asking for the wrong thing, but perhaps you could say, are there clusters within the particular violations or incident causes of crash? Are there clusters, and that's kind of what I'm looking for through the chair.
Clusters of what? Like
higher incidence of failure to yield? Does this happen in a particular area, or is this county-wide?
When you're saying area, do you mean locations?
Yeah, through the chair.
Through the chair.
Through the chair. Yeah, I can get that information for you.
Thank you. That's all.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0252.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Rockow. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0253.
Moved by Legislator Rockow, seconded by Legislator Ansello. Legislator Barat.
Through you to the administration, I have a couple questions here. In the earlier committee, it was mentioned that some of these funds will go towards vehicle costs. My question is, through the chair, how much goes to vehicle costs, and what exactly does that entail?
Through the chair, $37,000 will go to the purchase of the vehicle.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, do we not have other vehicles already for the other K-9 units? Through the chair?
Through the chair, we do. However, we try to, I think we have one that's a little bit older that needs to be replaced, so this dog we wouldn't want to give an older car, we'd give him the new car, a newer car.
Okay.
New dog, new car.
I'm sure the K-9 appreciates it. Through the chair of the administration, in the earlier committee mentioned that the K-9 cost itself for the dog is between $8,000 and $9,000. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Is that through the chair, a lifetime cost, a annual cost, a one-time cost?
Through the chair, it's a one-time purchase, and it does have to go out to bid or quote.
I'm sorry.
It's a one-time purchase, and it goes out to bid or quote, depending on if we're buying other dogs or not.
Okay, thank you. And then finally, through the chair of the administration, I know that we have, I believe, 4 nitrate dogs, and there's an additional 3 with the TSA. And my question is, through the chair, are these nitrate dogs able to identify substances such as fentanyl or carfentanil?
Through the chair, not fentanyl,
Not fentanyl.
because that's a narcotic.
Good to know. So through
The chair.
the chair, thank you. I was trying to think of the word. Through the chair to the administration is, what is the approximate annual cost for a K-9 unit and all the paraphernalia that goes with it on an annual basis?
Through the chair, I can kind of base this on the TSA dogs because I do the annual budget for them. And our vet bills run about $5,000 a year, food about $3,000, and kennel about $3,000. And then you have gas, which would be about $11,000. And if you want to know salaries and fringes, it's about $100,000 for a deputy.
Wow. So at that point, I guess I'll have to ask through the chair, what tier do they retire under? Wow. Okay, so through the chair of the administration, they're quite expensive then?
Yes.
Okay. Finally, through the chair of the administration, you mentioned that, and I had not realized, that narcotic dogs only work with narcotics, and fentanyl and carfentanil are not that. They are, you said what it was, I forgot. But through the chair of the administration, do we have any animals, any other way of identifying those sort of substances? Such as fentanyl.
Through the
carfentanil.
chair, well, this is a nitrate grant, and you asked if the nitrate, I thought you were asking if the nitrate dogs can smell or can, identify fentanyl, and they cannot, but the narcotic dogs can.
The narcotic dogs can, through the chair.
Oh, and we don't want a dog to detect fentanyl, it'll kill it.
Good point. It's a complicated world we live in. But if by accident a dog came across it, it would be indeed negatively affected, correct, through the chair?
Through the chair, I believe we have first aid kits for
Okay.
the dogs, which include Narcan.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Is there any further discussion? Legislator Kelly.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the administration, how long approximately, this is slightly off topic, but with these canines, how long do they generally stay in service?
Through the chair, we've had them up to 10 years. We usually purchase them to between 2 and 3 years, and I believe we keep them up until they're 8 to 10.
Thank you, and
Depends.
then,
I think one we kept for he was almost 14.
thank you, and then once they're retired, do we provide any retirement for these dogs?
Through the chair, the family keeps them.
Thank you. I want to know.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0254.
Moved by Legislator Ansello, seconded by Legislator Connolly. Is there any discussion? Legislator Kaley.
Thank you very much. Through you, Mr. Chair, to the administration. Since this runs for a full year and the canal is drained, could you just give me an idea of what this patrol is what their function is during the winter?
Through the chair, they can use the snowmobiles, and they can just walk the canal, or they drive from canal to canal. A mounted patrol also.
All right, thank you. So basically, through the chair, it's a routine that follows pretty much what it does during the water months then?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0255.
Moved by Legislator Connolly and seconded by President Carbone. Is there any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0256.
Moved by President Carbone, seconded by Legislator Hebert. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0257.
Moved by Legislator Hebert, seconded by Legislator Draw. Is there any discussion? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration, can you tell us exactly what's included in that rental amount?
Through the chair, if the question is what is the airport supplying,
Correct.
we are just supplying the space, which happens to be improved with asphalt and some striping, but everything else the tenant has to take care of.
And through you to the administration, does that mean that the airport does not pay any of the utilities, and the utilities aren't then charged back to the tenant? Or they pay, through the chair to the administration, they are paid directly for everything?
Through the chair, on this parcel, I don't believe that the utilities have been separated yet, and it may be that we do a prorated until they are separated.
Okay, so through you to the administration, then it's in the works to separate all utilities so that they're paying directly?
Through the chair, we do try to do that with every parcel. Sometimes that's a low priority for the utility companies.
Okay. Through to the administration, do we provide any maintenance services, i.e. snow plowing, grass cutting, anything like that?
Through the chair, the tenant is responsible for their own snow plowing and whatever they want. They can use, if we hire someone to do the snow removal, they could obviously tag on, but we are not responsible for their snow removal.
Through you to the administration, in that case, then they would pay for that separately. They may just use the same contractor.
Through the chair, that's absolutely correct.
Okay. Through you to the administration, then. So the annual increase in terms of the rent is just shy of $500 annually, which seems like a low number, but there's to counter that, then there are no costs associated to the airport that would increase above 500. So this is just sort of gravy.
Through the chair, that is correct. There are no costs, and we just are trying to get revenue up in different ways.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Legislator Draw.
Responses were there to the RFP?
Through the chair, there were 2 responses.
Two. Okay.
Is there any further discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0258.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Rockow. Is there any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0260.
Moved by Legislator Rockow, seconded by Legislator Ansello. Legislator Baroth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
answer, but I did have a question regarding the funds that we're putting in, and whether or not we're going to, we're getting the same funds we got in the past. So my question is, it mentioned that there was, we've received the state aid for a long time, quote, many years. Is this current amount an increase, a decrease, or the same amount as prior years? Through the chair.
Through the chair, I believe it's the same amount. It's 80% federal, 20% local, but of the 20% local, 3% of that actually comes from New York State because some of their signals we operate.
Okay. Through the chair of the administration, I'm sorry, my question had not to do with percentages, but had to do with total dollars. Is the total dollar amount the same as in past years, or has that changed over time? Through the chair.
I'm not sure on entirely. I believe it's been $750,000 a year for a while. I don't know if it's been since the inception or not. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Oh, no need to do that. If it's past couple of years, $750,000, that's fine. I don't need to go back totally in history. But I did have one question. You mentioned that the state aid was about 3%?
Through the chair.
Through the chair?
Through the chair, of the 20% local share, 3% of that will come from the state, yes.
Okay, because when I look at this, when I did my calculations, the local share of $112,500 actually equals 15% of the $750,000, and the state aid listed above is 5%. So I don't understand where you're getting this 3% out of 20 through the chair.
Through the chair, I'll have to look into that and get back to you. I'm not sure why it's different.
Okay, well, it's conceivable my math is wrong, but through the chair, I think I got that one right. So if you could check and let me know, I'd appreciate that prior to the full ledge.
Through the chair, certainly.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? President Carbone.
Chair, thank you. Can someone give an estimate of the number of staff employed in the control center?
Through the chair, are you talking just a strict control center? Or we have about 4 to 5 dispatchers. There's an initial 2 to 3 employees that actually operate the control of the signals.
So that's 7 total through the chair?
Approximately, yes. And there's also there's a greater number of staff that actually go out and do the work, look in the traffic control cabinets, put signals together, things like that. But in the actual control center itself, yeah, about 7.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0261.
Moved by Legislator Ansello, seconded by Legislator Connolly. Is there any discussion? Legislator Baroff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the administration, I understand that, the costs are reimbursable by the federal and state aid of 97.5%. Through the chair, does that mean of the $50,000 we're putting in for the inspection, we're going to get back approximately $48,750?
Through the chair, if that's the breakdown, yes, that would be the correct. It would be the same amount as what we had previously.
Okay, and then through the chair of the administration, do you know about when we would get that reimbursement? Is that at the end of the project through the chair?
Through the chair, it's all based on when we do the reimbursement amounts through Controller's Office. Whenever they do the reimbursement, that's when we could get it back. This project's lasted, it's slated to be about 2 years. So I would think probably every 6 months or so, we might get a portion of it based on the amount of work done in that period.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0262.
Moved by Legislator Connolly, seconded by President Carbone. Is there any discussion? Legislator Baroff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the administration, I know from observing the Transportation Committee that there's going to be 126 signalized, 120 unsignalized upgrades. And my question is, of all those upgrades, how many of them are going to involve rapid rectangular flashing beacons? Through the chair.
Through the chair, we're looking at installing approximately 14 of those.
Thank you. And through the chair of the administration, it also made the mention of leading pedestrian intervals. What is that, and how many, and where might they be going? Through the chair.
Through the chair, it should be approximately 35 LPIs at current signalized intersections. And what an LPI is if there's a high volume of pedestrians in the crosswalk, it allows them the opportunity to get out and be seen in the crosswalk prior to vehicles turning left or right.
Okay, thank you. And through the chair of the administration, I know that this is a large number of improvements being planned for, and that there was a process in place to determine what would be improved now and what would be deferred. My question is, through the chair to the administration, is there a current list of, if we got additional funding, of other crosswalks or crossings we'd want to improve upon? Through the chair.
Through the chair, I believe we're doing all the crosswalks we have at the encouragement of New York State.
So through the chair of the administration, none of them being left out?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Well, that will make my next question irrelevant, which was I was going to ask for a map of the whole thing, but never mind, you got them covered.
Yeah, through the chair, I would like to one quick clarification. We're not doing anything in the city of Rochester because they're pursuing their own, and we're also not doing anything in the town of Brighton at their own request.
Yes, which reminds me, thank you, through the chair of the administration. Yeah, I was at the prior committee and you mentioned that before. And my question is, the reason you gave was Brighton didn't want to pay the maintenance costs. Is that correct, through the chair? Or at least that's your understanding?
Through the chair, yes. Once we install the crosswalks, it would be the town's responsibility to maintain and refresh in the crosswalks, and they did not want to pursue that, so they opted to not have us do that.
So I guess what I'd like to know then is, through the chair of the administration, is do you have a breakdown of what the maintenance cost or the estimated maintenance cost would be for all these improvements?
Through the chair, I do not, because the towns are responsible for maintaining them, not us.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's really based on how often they want to refresh the markings.
Mm-hmm. Or, correct me if I'm wrong, through the chair, or in the case of flashing lights and things like that, keep maintaining those as well, correct?
Through the chair, the county would be responsible for maintaining those.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, is there anything else the county is going to be responsible for maintaining?
Through the chair, if we decide to go with a hawk pedestrian signal, that would be something that we'd be responsible for maintaining. As far as the actual crosswalks themselves, no. As far as give me a second here. As far as the new controllers for some of the equipment, we would be responsible for maintaining those.
Do you have, through the chair, do you have an idea of the estimate of the total cost of maintenance for the things that we are responsible for maintaining would be on an annual basis?
Through the chair, I do not at this time.
Do you think that's possible to figure out ahead of time, or is it something we have to figure out by experience through the chair?
Again, I'm afraid I'm going to have to get back on that through the chair. I don't have that information here.
Okay, if you could do that, I'd appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Legislator Baroth, I almost forgot my question. You almost asked it for me. However, you made me think of another one. Thank you. Through the chair. When we're talking about the other municipalities being responsible for the markings and whatever they're responsible for, and the comment, or paraphrasing what you said, it's up to them, and when they decide they're going to do it. Does the state have a maintenance of effort with regards to how this money has been spent, and say determined as to a crosswalk that is totally faded and is just not scheduled to be restriped? Is there a guideline here? We're dealing with obviously state funds versus county funds, but again, when we leave it up to a municipality to maintain something, are they given a maintenance of effort that what they should be doing?
Through the chair.
This is, excuse me, through the chair. It's confusing to me, but I think what I'm trying to hone in on are more likely the non-lighted crosswalks, the markings that would result from this money. Is there a maintenance of effort, like the standard that they should be meeting going forward after they've had this done?
Through the chair, if there's any maintenance for any lighting, it would feel like
No,
it's regarding
striping.
striping.
Through the chair.
Okay, through the chair, the state is encouraging us to replace any existing crosswalks that are out there. That's what this process is doing. Once those markings are installed, it becomes the town's responsibility to maintain them. And no, there is not any specific requirement.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Legislator Hebert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration, where is it stated or agreed to that the towns are responsible for maintaining the crosswalks after you install them?
I don't believe I can find any specific piece of information that it specifically states that. It's just kind of more of a rule of thumb kind of thing that we've been doing. It's never been an issue before. It's never been asked before.
So, through the chair, it's a gentleman's agreement? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Through the chair, I'm just saying if you would wanted me to provide documentation, I don't think I could.
Thank you.
Legislator Baroth.
Could anyone else from the administration provide that sort of documentation through the chair?
Through the chair, not to my knowledge.
So through the chair of the administration, so what you're saying is that if a town decides not to maintain their crosswalks and the paint, and they say it's in fact our responsibility, that's never been determined before through the chair, legally?
Well, through the chair, as far as things like, for example, sidewalks or things like that, we normally do an IMA, and then that more or less clearly defines who's responsible for what.
But not in this case through the chair.
Through the chair, not specifically for the markings of the crosswalks.
Well, it seems to me, and I suspect my colleague on the other side, that's a little odd. I would request that before the full ledge, if you could look into that and see if someone could determine why is it that we are not responsible for these, the maintenance of crosswalks. That'd be very helpful through the chair.
Through the chair, yes, I will look into that.
Thank you.
Okay.
It only makes sense that if Brighton denied the service because they didn't want to upkeep the lines, it must be common knowledge that the town is responsible for the upkeep. Does that make sense through the chair? Well, that was easy.
Legislator Baroth.
The president that in fact, yeah, it would be it makes common sense, but the question is, just because something makes common sense doesn't mean it's in fact legal. I think the president's correct that somewhere out there's some sort of legislation or some sort of decision that in fact, yes, they are responsible, but the question that initially asked by Legislator Heber and followed by myself, it wasn't answered. So I just like clarification as to, in fact, is this the case through the chair?
Through the chair, we will get you a full explanation on this.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0263.
Moved by President Carbone, seconded by Legislator Hebert. Is there any discussion? Legislator Connolly.
The property on this list under reference 44 has delinquent property taxes.
Through the chair, the owner is delinquent 2018 property taxes, and 2 prior years the liens were sold to a third party. There's been no response with offer letters that have gone out to the property owner. So to specifically answer why, I would only be guessing.
Thank you, but through the chair, do the delinquent property taxes exceed the amount of money that we're paying, the $3,300?
Through the chair, yes, they do. But as I said, offer letters to acquire the property rights that are needed for the project have not been responded to, so therefore it will be likely that this will have to go to condemnation in order to secure the rights that the county needs for the project.
Thank you.
Legislator Brough.
The Chair of the Administration, am I correct to make sure I'm following along correctly? The property you're referring to is on map 44, parcel 1 PE from, someone owns it from, Robert Burns owns it from 1595 Whitney Road, is that correct, through the Chair?
To the chair, that's correct.
So what I'm hearing then is that we've not actually, Robert Burns has not actually responded to any of our requests or emails or letters or whatever, correct, through the Chair?
To the chair, that is correct.
So how, well, one of the questions I typically ask is, are we considering utilizing eminent domain at any particular point in time? Would that not apply here through the Chair?
Through the chair, that is what I just said, yes, we would more than likely have to use eminent domain.
Oh, so through the Chair of the Administration, so condemnation is in fact eminent domain?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Oh, we learn something new every day. Through the Chair of the Administration, is anyone else going to be, any other properties require condemnation through the Chair?
Through the chair, we currently have 8 property owners that have not returned their offer packages to us. 6 out of the 8 have indicated that they are going to send them back. We have one other one that we're meeting with this week in hopes that they will sign their offer letter, and there will only be one. But as it stands right now, there are 2 potential that we may have to.
Thank you. So now we have 2 potential properties that might be condemned. What's the, say we don't hear back from the one who we haven't heard from yet, and the other one who you don't have anything scheduled with yet. What's the timeline on that process through the Chair?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. For the ones that we don't anticipate successfully meeting with or getting the signatures, so there's 2 of them left, what's the timeline that we're foreseeing moving forward on this through the Chair?
Through the chair, once we have full legislative authorization to either acquire through negotiation or condemnation, then we can start that process. So the soonest it would be after full ledge next month.
So through the Chair of the Administration, after the full ledge next month, you'll have all the approval you need to condemn, if necessary, these 2 properties, correct, through the Chair?
We will have to start the process, which is a formal presentation, formal filing with the court.
Thank you. But through the Chair of the Administration, it does not come back to us.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you. You mentioned the word negotiating. When you say that, do you mean to say that the amount that we offer, so for example, the first one on the list there to Richard and Sheila Katz of $100, is that an amount that can change through a conversation with these 2 individuals, or is that just an amount that we determine and that's what it is through the Chair?
Through the chair, typically that's the amount that we're offering. It doesn't typically change. I mean, if there's some information that is presented to us that might have been missed by the appraiser when they did the appraisal on the acquisition, it could be considered.
Okay. And through the Chair of the Administration, did any of that occur in these properties? Did anything change, basically, through the Chair?
Through the chair, no, it did not.
Okay. So through the Chair of the Administration, I went through these properties and figured out the square footage amount for each of these. And I realized this section of roadways incredibly varied. You have residential, woods, you have unimproved, you have industrial. It's all over the place. But even keeping that in mind, per square foot amount, and I'm not talking about just the large amounts of dollars, I'm talking about all of them. They were anywhere from 14 cents per square foot to $8 something per square foot. How is that determined through the Chair?
Through the chair, independent appraisers were hired to determine the compensation to all of the property owners along the project. The dollar amounts that you see in the referral could also reflect any improvements that were taken, trees or, or such that, were in the taking area.
Right. So a property with trees would typically get a little bit more than properties that had nothing, correct, through the Chair?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay. Since we're talking about so many properties here, I'd actually like to request through the Chair to the Administration, could you provide us with a map of the different parcels and the of the street so we can look at, basically the prices and the price per square foot and I can, for that area, that streetway, is that possible through the chair?
I'm not, through the chair, I'm not sure that I mean, we could provide a map that shows where, all the easements are. I'm not sure that I understand the rest of your question.
Well, actually, if you could do it in such a way that the easements are identifiable per this resolution, that'll be plenty. So, through the chair, thank you.
Through the chair, I think we can do that, yes.
Okay, is it possible to do prior to the full election meeting, through the chair?
Through the chair, yes.
Thank you so much, I really do appreciate it. And then finally, through the chair of the administration, I sincerely hope you hear from those two others. I mean, hopefully they're still around, they're getting the mail, and they're just ignoring it, as opposed to being elsewhere. So, thank you.
Legislator Kaley?
To the administration. Going back to the parcel map 44 and the one particular person that we know that you can't reach, if we are utilizing condemnation or eminent domain, are you seizing the entire property through that, or just what is needed for the easement?
Through the chair, it's only what's needed for the easement.
Thank you. And then you would just proceed through the chair with foreclosure or what have you on the rest of the property if no one responded?
Through the chair, we're only taking an easement on the property, and we would only secure through condemnation or eminent domain, as you wish, the rights for that easement. We're not taking, the rest of the property. The rest of the property, would remain in the ownership that is currently there unless something else happens with the property.
Thank you. And then through the chair, I just in citing other things that have happened, I'm hopeful that every method you can possibly make to get a hold of these owners is made. I'm sure it is, but again, don't want to have any backlash. I don't know where these properties sit in reference to the project as it goes through. So, thank you.
Okay. Legislator Morelli.
Administration, is it common that we go ahead and move through with these, with approving the acquisition of properties before we have agreements signed with the property owners?
Through the chair, I guess I'm not quite understanding your question.
Well, through you, Mr. Chairman, you've referenced that there are several properties in which I believe the number you mentioned was 8, of which you don't have agreements with the property owners, and in at least 2 cases, it's unlikely that you'll get agreements. So I guess my question is, how often are we, are we approving projects when you don't have signed agreements with the property owners?
Through the chair, we typically do not.
So through the chair, this is an uncommon practice?
Through the chair, that would be correct.
And through you, Mr. Chairman, then why are we doing it?
Through the chair, I'd have to look specifically at this parcel, but from laying out the design of the plans, it was needed to acquire this easement. For whether it was for grading, it could have been for sidewalk, could have been for minor widening.
Okay, I guess I understand whatever it is that you need this land for. That's not my question. My question is, through the chair, why is it that we are approving the acquisition of these properties if we don't have signed agreements with the property owners?
Through the chair, we are approving these so that we're also authorizing the right to do condemnation or eminent domain if necessary for the project.
Okay, so then through the chair, then that is your main reason behind bringing the project to us for acquisition, even though there isn't anything signed. Correct? Through the chair?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay. So through you, Mr. Chairman, do you then anticipate that perhaps you won't get all of the 8 remaining properties? Or do you have any reason to think that those will move toward eminent domain as well?
Through the chair, with very recent conversations, some today, with 6 of the 8 property owners that we don't have signed agreements with, they are either mailing them in or we're going to stop by and pick them up. The other 2, we have to, there's a meeting scheduled for later in the week with one of them. The parcel 44, that's the topic of discussion, you know, my gut tells me it's unlikely that, you know, he's going to sign anything. The court authorized foreclosure on the property back earlier this year, so it's, in my opinion, it's not likely that he's going to sign anything for us.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the purpose you're bringing all of these properties is obviously for the purpose of a project in the town of Perryton. So my question is, if you have to go through the process of receiving this, picking up this last property through eminent domain, does that throw off the project timeline at all?
Through the chair, it will not.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Legislator Cayley.
This is just so interesting, Mr. Chairman. In not speaking to parcel 44, but speaking to any of the other parcels that might be acquired through eminent domain, this is for the improvement of roadway, is that correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you. And then, through the chair, for the improvement of the roadway, is it expected that the traffic flow will be any greater than it is now, or approximately the same as it is now, just less congested?
Through the chair, it will be the same.
Thank you. And then, through the chair, will this bring the actual traffic flow closer to the houses that are situated on these properties?
Through the chair, no, it will not.
So thank you. Then through the chair, this is the backside or sides of properties where these people own, or there are no homes on these properties?
Through the chair, it's a variety of improved property and unimproved property, and it would be the area in front of, you know, most of these properties along the, you know, what we consider the road now.
I'm not sure I understood the last one through the chair, the properties along the road. So there are very few residential houses along this project?
To the chair, there are a fair amount of residential properties. The easements that are required to improve widening for the shoulder, grading, are not going to be significant where, you know, the road will be, you know, significantly closer to any of those residences.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that through the chair. It's still, when you add a shoulder, it still makes it seem a little bit closer. But more definitely, if it were a residential situation through the chair, and there were trees, that would have been a buffer against traffic, noise, and sight, would the price being given back to the homeowner be sufficient for them to create that buffer once again?
Through the chair, again, the compensation's been, you know, determined by independent appraiser, and obviously, if you have a 40-foot tall tree, you're not going to be able to plant a 40-foot tall tree. So trees, you know, From time to time, trees are part of the project, and trees are put back in, in the 6 to 8 foot variety.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and through the chair, that's what I would expect. So what we're saying is, if you're taking out, through the chair, buffers such as trees, whether they're old or newer, that there is a compensation if the owner wants it for additional plantings to be done, whether they're young or old.
Through the chair, there's both a monetary compensation and the potential for a new planting to go in its place.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0264.
Moved by legislator Draw, seconded by legislator Rockow. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0265.
Moved by legislator Rockow, seconded by legislator Ansello. Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration. Could the administration please differentiate between the salary of the audiologist or gists that may be on site and the other components to this contract?
Through the chair, could you repeat that question, please?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, I'm actually going to change it. The contract states that it's for not to exceed $35,000 a year. We have roughly 100 patients that receive services for hearing impairment and or loss. And it also specifically says that it's for, that they would supply equipment replacement. Can you explain the level of equipment replacement that entails?
Those would primarily be hearing aids?
Thank you. And then through the chair, of the residents and patients that are there, long or short term, with hearing aids, it's been my knowledge that they are rarely covered through insurances. Is that still correct?
Through the chair, at best, they are typically partially covered.
Thank you. And then I guess it leads me through the chair to wonder I don't mean to malign the company or whatever, but are we talking new units, refurbed units? Are we talking new equipment for someone's hearing needs? It's very expensive. $35,000 is not a lot of money, so I'm wondering how far this goes.
Through the chair, our estimates are that this is an adequate amount to cover the needs of our residents. The accurate response to your query would be that the equipment would be a combination of new, restored, or repaired. Under most circumstances, the equipment is repaired.
Thank you. And then through the chair, can you say approximately how many hours during the last year? Because this is, I believe this one was backdated. Am I correct?
Yes.
This was the changed one?
I could provide that information for you. I do not have that information as to the number of hours.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. All right, before we wrap up this evening, I just want to say thank you to our clerk, Diana Crisadaro, and thank you for your service to this committee and to the county legislature. It's been a pleasure working with you, and we all wish you the very best, and you're going to be terrific. I know you will be as you take on a new position and have new responsibilities. So thank you for your service.
Thank you.
All right. There being no other matters, the September 17th, 2018 meeting of the Ways and Means Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Ways and Means Committee will be held on Tuesday, October 23rd, 2018, at 6 p.m.